With less than 30 days before the presidential election, the election of our lifetimes, once again, the Democratic Party are realizing that they may be in some trouble. And the internal polling is showing that black men are not showing up in the same way they did for Barack Obama. Now, who do they get to come out and get black men activated and tell them why they need to vote? No other than Big Brother General, former Commander-in-Chief Barack Obama. Barack Obama has no business lecturing black men to get them to vote. If anything, you need to be speaking to the people who look like your mama. Stop playing with us. Let's talk about it.
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck on.
What's going on, you all? The internal polling must be eating the Democrats up. And you know what? It doesn't surprise me. And it doesn't surprise a lot, given the last couple of months. The internal polling is showing that Harris is not doing well with black male voters. And it isn't really surprising. And the things that people are trying to come up and the reasoning of why Harris is not doing well with black male voters isn't really making sense when you look at the data and the information. A lot of people want to say that Harris is not doing well because of her being a woman, and that could very well be the truth for some voters. But black men are still showing up and they are voting for Harris. Now, what is getting me is how black men are now about to be blamed for this potential loss that is coming with Harris and Trump. I'm not calling it. I'm really not sure. But considering how bad of a candidate that Trump is, he should be very behind. He should be behind like no other. He should be doing worse than Hillary Clinton. To me, he should be polling even less than what he did with Hillary Clinton back in 2016. So here we are. So with less than 30 days to go before the election, we have Barack Obama being called to action, which he is always being activated to get, black folks out to vote. Barack Obama made a stop at one of Harris's campaign offices in Pittsburgh. And in this video, you hear Barack Obama literally describe why black men should vote. No mention of policies, no mention of the things that Harris is going to do, just vibes, because that's all this campaign has been giving. I know y'all ain't trying to hear it, but I'm gonna let y'all hear it from Big Brother General himself.
Communities is that we had not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences. He's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land.
Now, honestly, this isn't the first time that Barack Obama has lectured black men or black people for that matter. Like, he has been known to do it at commencement speeches at HBCUs, even at Morehouse, telling black men to pull up their pants and to pick up trash in their neighborhoods. Like, this is what Barack Obama is known for doing, like scolding black men and making it seem as though they are, the reasons why they are not doing well. Like, you need to be doing this. And none of this surprises a lot of folks if you've been paying attention. Like, this is some of the rhetoric that Obama has been saying since 2008, to be honest. I mean, he's been saying this type of stuff for a minute. But in this video, we see Barack Obama, like, you can hear the frustration in his voice. You can see him, like, really feel something. That internal polling is beating their ass. Like, that internal polling is looking bad. Harris is not doing well with black male voters. And yes, we can have a conversation about how misogyny, sexism is showing up and how black men do not see Harris as a leader, even though she has all of the things, all of the things. She's been a prosecutor. She's a former United States senator. Like, she's done so much, but they don't see her. But that's just not black men. That's men in general. And that's actually white women too. They don't see her as that. So it's not a thing that's specific to black men. But what we have is black folks being blamed for the future problems, like black folks getting the worst end of the stick and expected to show up and support. And the Democratic Party is losing on that. Like, they are losing. It's going slowly, but a lot of younger voters are being turned off. This situation, which I cannot describe in detail, that's happening in Israel is turning off a lot of, young black voters who are well in tune with what's going on. Like, yes, there are some folks who are not necessarily in tune or do not care, because I've seen TikToks of folks talking about, well, the stuff is still going to be the same, da-da-da. If that is your response to what is happening and people being slain, I just don't know what to tell you at this point. Like, there are legit reasons why people do not want to show up to the polls. And if you're going to scorn folks and talk to them like they're nothing, like, what do you expect? What do you expect? Like, you are not trying to listen and figure out why they are not showing up. You've already made your, preconceived notion of why folks are not showing up. A lot of folks are not showing up because they are burnt out on hope and change. A lot of people voted for Barack Obama 2 times. A lot of people believed in hope and change. And it's not enough anymore. Like, people are starting to understand that this stuff is way more complex and nuanced than we came to believe. Barack Obama, you ran off of the first black president, the first this and that. Like, a lot of folks believe that, with this black person in the highest position in the world, having power to make change, was not able to make change that was lasting for black folks. Like, yes, there were some things that were done, but there's a lot more harm that was done to people who look like us across the globe. Matter of fact, Barack Obama had to be even harsher to show up and let it be known that he is not soft because of how people perceive him, because he is a black person, how white folks perceive him. Like, you cannot come in and change this institution. It just is what it is. Like, you're going to tap dance even more. That's why the ACAB makes sense. All cops are bad. Doesn't matter if they're black, whatever, because they are going to tap dance even harder to prove and to make it in the institution. Like, you're not going to come in here and shake it up. Like, it's just not going to happen. I believed in that. Like, I was one of those who believed that this was possible. But a lot of us have seen what happened in 2008 and 2012 and again in 2016, and we are talking about it. Like, you see a lot of folks having conversations about what they expected to happen with Barack Obama, and we're duped. And we experienced a Trump for 4 years. We know what it's like to have the quote unquote worst president, the whatever president. And a lot of folks could not really tell you the biggest difference. Like, if it was that bad, then why was he able to win? He was able to win because of people voting for him, people voting for that specific stuff. Like, Trump is saying these things and talking like this to his voters who are interested in seeing him win again. And now we are being blamed. Like, black men, black folks are being blamed for this quote unquote person who is supposed to be the worst or whatever. And it's just like, Why are other people not getting that? I mean, Hillary Clinton even tried it a little bit, talking about, the white folks who were voting for Trump, calling them degenerates and all the other stuff and low class or whatever. Like, she got pushback on that. Like, she got a lot of pushback on that. So it's like you don't really see a demographic of voters being talked to the way that Barack Obama talks to us. Like the way he came and spoke to these like campaign staff folks, like these are volunteers, folks who are not probably getting paid. Some of them probably are getting paid. They're volunteering to get Harris elected. Like they're doing the work. And I'm not assuming that Barack Obama is talking to them. I think that he's using them and that video so it can be posted throughout social media and everywhere, so black men will see and heed the message. But it turned a lot of black folks off. Like it turned a lot of black people off, because you're doing this not even in like a private setting. You're doing this in a very public setting, and it's wrong, point blank, period. You are scolding black people in front of white folks. Like you are doing the master's work, to be honest. Like let's call a spade a spade. That's exactly what it is. Like y'all need to be out here doing it. These is good folks. Y'all need to be out here voting. What's the issue? And we're not hearing why we should be voting, because you all are so used to black folks voting and supporting just because that you don't think about anything else. And I know it's going to be a lot of folks who going to feel some type of way about this video, about me even talking about this, but we should not be told to vote for a candidate just because of similar experiences and we look alike or whatever. We should not be doing that. That honestly probably should be a quote unquote plus, but this is not the Oscars. This ain't the Oscars, is it? This is not MTV Awards. It's not the VMAs. This is real life. Like this is real life. And Barack Obama should be telling us why we should vote for her, what policies and things. But when we hear Harris talk about how she's different from Trump or even Joe Biden, we don't hear that much of a difference. Even Trump has been making jokes about Harris adopting a lot of his policies and how a lot of the things that she believed in, she doesn't mention anymore. The universal health care is not talked about anymore. The ban on fracking, that's not, like all of these things that the Democratic Party was running on some years ago, it's not even being mentioned. Even the unaliving penalty, where we saw, unfortunately, a black man lose his life was taken away, and people were protesting and people were talking about, getting the governor to dismiss this mess that is happening with this black man, and him losing his life to a crime that he more than likely did not commit. You did not see Harris or any of these black politicians come out and use their political power to stop this. They did not do anything. Like there was no conversation. And now you're coming to lecture us and tell us that, hey, like y'all need to get out here and vote, as if we are just supposed to get in line and just do the work. And it's hilarious listening to some people say, y'all need to get out here and vote. Okay, so if I get out here and vote and I vote for somebody other than who I want you to, what are you really even saying get out here and vote for? Like, what are you saying get out here and vote for? Like, you're not telling me to get out here and vote to use my voice, because I am essentially using my voice. A non-vote is a vote, period. Like, we forgot that candidates are supposed to be doing the work to get us to vote for them. That's how it's supposed to go. Candidates are supposed to come up with policies that benefit us, for us to give them our vote to support them to push this legislation and these policies and get them passed. That's how it's supposed to happen. We're supposed to vote for you because you are going to better us. But a lot of us are realizing that those things are not happening. You're going to Pittsburgh and having a conversation with black men about this when minimum wage is still $7, and black men still are, black folks period, are still not doing well in this city. Like, you're telling us to do these things, but we're not hearing why we should, other than just vibes. Harris has been running off of vibes since she announced. And now the time is up. It's time to show up. And we're not seeing neither candidate, neither Trump or Harris, has put together any legit like policy information that is giving us a layout of what is to come. A lot of them have not announced too much of anything, to be honest, both sides, because some people seem to think just because a person who is usually voting for Democrats and you know, supporting Democrats in the past, that we're being vocal about Democrats not showing up, that we are supporting Trump. Like, I don't understand how y'all make that connection. The connections that y'all be making only support y'all self. Like, y'all don't do any critical thinking about these things. As a person who's voted blue throughout his whole entire life, like, this would probably be the first time ever that I'm just not active. I'm active as far as like listening to what these candidates are saying and, you know, paying attention to what's going on, but I'm not active as far as voting because neither one of these candidates have shown me that they deserve my vote. I'm not voting for a person who is going to continue on the things that are happening across the globe. Like, I'm not supporting a candidate who is coming out and like feeling the need to continuously fund what is going on in Israel. I'm just not doing that. And if that makes you upset, I don't know what to tell you. And I don't want to get into the weeds too much on these things, but I don't like the conversations that are happening. I don't like that a lot of the focus has been on people who are not interested in supporting these candidates because of what's happening with Israel. I don't like how folks are moving with this. I don't like how people are trying to shun folks to vote. That is now how it works. You can't shun people to do anything. You're supposed to guide them to do it. It's the same thing getting folks to, quote unquote, go to the gym, the same way getting kids to do things. Like, you don't shun them. It does not work. Find a way to get them excited about doing it. And what is happening is the Democratic Party is not doing anything to make folks be enthusiastic about supporting them. We're seeing a candidate that was not even towards the left, like was saying they're a Democrat, but have moved towards the center or even closer to the right when it comes to things. Like, we're talking about these storms that are happening because of global warming, climate change, and all these things. And yet we're still hearing things like fracking is okay because they want to sure up votes and get votes in specific states. Like, y'all are not doing anything, so their votes matter more than mine. Okay, we are voting. Like, Republicans have lost the popular vote. The last 3 elections, they have lost the popular vote consistently. And I need people to wake up and realize that. So for Barack Obama to come out and talk to black folks, specifically black men in this situation, and make it seem as though it's a sexism thing. Like, I've seen a lot of that, and it's made it a little bit complicated to have a conversation about Harris. Like, folks are now trying to connect any legit criticism about her to sexism. Yes, it does exist. You cannot remove it from that. There are some men who are not seeing her as that because, like, also, you know, it's a percentage of that. Also, a lot of folks have woken up. If Barack Obama was to run again, he probably would lose, to be honest, because a lot of folks are not as interested. I know too many people who voted for him in 2008 that did not vote for him in 2012, and damn sure is not interested in him in 2024. A lot of people have woken up. They have more resources and more knowledge. Back to what someone said, or a user said on Twitter earlier this year, that our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents want us to go to school, get an education, and become more informed and a better member of society. But when we get this information and we retain this information about how messed up and broken this system is, they don't want to hear it. So what is the purpose of you telling us to go get this information, to go get this knowledge, and then we're coming back and we're like, okay, girl, this is messed up. Like, all of these things that you told me were a lie. Like, all the dreams I was sold as a child, as a teenager, about a better world and getting an education and all that, it's like, oh, it is way worse than what I thought it was. Like, and people are now understanding that, and we have social media to now voice our frustration. People can now go to a public forum on a loudspeaker and talk about their issues with these candidates. It hasn't happened like this before. Like, you had to be vetted to speak, to even ask questions at town halls and stuff. And the politicians often knew what questions were coming. Like right now, Barack Obama is being ate up. And these journalists who are now reporting on how Barack Obama sounded in this tone in his messaging is coming from social media by black folks saying that they were not comfortable about how he came and he talked to them. So my message to Barack Obama, while you're sitting here talking to black men about getting out and voting and showing up and all the other stuff, you need to be talking to folks who look like your mama. You need to be going to talk to folks who look like your mama. Shout out to one of my favorite Twitter users talk about, you need to go talk to your lily white mama, like point blank period. Leave us alone. Barry, leave us alone. Like, and I have some respect for Nina Turner, who wrote a brilliant article about Barack Obama's tone. She still had to kind of toe the line when she said that, you know, she has love for Barack Obama, but his tone and how he talked in that moment, she wasn't featuring. And a lot of us are not featuring it. A lot of us, like Barack Obama, we don't see you that much. You know, you don't have a connection to us like that. Like, so to come out here and talk to us like we're brothers and we're happy and we're singing, we're color, give us a high five, it's just not working in 2024. Hope and change is gone. We don't have any more change. We're using change to pay our bills. We're scrapping up change to buy groceries. Hope is running out. Like, the only hope that we have is not in this institution anymore. And it's not in voting. A lot of us don't have hope in voting anymore. We're finding other ways to show up for our communities because we're realizing that even when we do show up, we're underrepresented when it comes to things that we're experiencing. The whole situation with the biolab that happened in Conyers, in an area where nothing but black folks live, like older black folks live. There was no coverage about it until days later. We have a black mayor in Atlanta who took days to even respond and talk about it. They only tweeted and talked about it on social media. They did not put a press conference out talking to the black elders who are in these areas, like, who don't be on social media like that. There were people having to contact their grandparents and their parents and tell them what was going on. We have black leadership in Atlanta who is failing black folks. Like, the whole institution itself is failing us. And it reminds us each and every day. We look at the corruption when it comes to a lot of these politicians. Like, look what just happened in New York with the black mayor who's been called out for the longest. And who did he look to support him when he, you know, was called out for the things? He's been charged for bribery and things. Folks under his administration had to step down and being charged as well. Who did he look to? Black elders to support him, singing gospel tunes. That's all I got. Y'all tell me about how you feel. Sound off in the comment. I'm pretty sure some folks going to have some things to say. Remember, be respectful because I won't. That's all I got. Talk to you later. Bye.